Judge, this is Kyle Simpson. May I approach about that?
Yes, sir.
There's something in the paperwork on the obstruction that I received that didn't match up from the previous prosecutor. And I'm waiting to either discuss it with the prosecutor or maybe approach to get a week reset or something that I can.
Which case are we talking about, Kyle?
Let me get you a case number.
Yeah, because I got 11 pages worth, so.
It's 615296 Frankie Vargas.
Right at the top of page 2. Okay, well, you want to repeat the one, Patty, you want to recall this for 1 week, give him time to get this straight?
Yes, sir. And I'm also going to need his client's email address.
I think I chatted it to you, Patty. You want me to do that again?
All right. No, it's okay. I'll look for it.
Well, why don't you do it as a little bit of a precaution? If it's a duplicate,
Sure.
no problem.
Yeah, I'll re-chat that right now.
17 December, we will see you then on this, Kyle.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
We both, my client and I, can be excused.
As soon as that's complied with, yes.
All right, I'll get that to her as we speak.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Take care of yourself. Jason Todd or Taylor Wood. Jason Todd or Taylor Wood. Well, hell.
Judge and Patty,
Yes.
while y'all were away, Mr. Sobey, do you want the case number?
Yeah, it'd be good.
636638. It's Abel Garza's client. He logged on and was speaking with me. He was having issues, and Mr. Garza just wanted to make sure that y'all knew that his client Sobey checked in.
66638.
636.
Oh.
He's got 2 cases, Judge, on page 2. I'm sorry, page 3.
Right.
Six-
Sina Sobi.
And just to let the judge know, the court know, Abelardo Garza is in breakout room 16. Miss Haas is still conferring, and she's room 10. And it's all the way to 21. Did you want me to bring her back from the breakout room?
Well, I think it would be appropriate so we can get these 2 pleas out of the way. Otherwise, the people that have been ready all along
Yes, sir.
for the pleas will have to wait till the end, and I don't want to do that.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, Ivan Barrera here.
Ivan Barrera,
Judge, I have announcements on some of my cases.
let's hear what you got to say. Give me the case numbers first.
Yes, Judge. First one is on page number 3, 640970.
Yes, sir.
On this one, Judge, this is the one where the state asked for continuance, and we have agreed to the continuance. I believe that one was reset for January the 20th.
That is correct.
Okay. And the next one, Judge, is on page number 7. And the cause number is 662430.
662340, Crystal Blunt.
That's correct, Judge. On this one, I've conferred with the state. We have come to an agreement on a plea, so we'd like to reschedule it, Judge. But I'd ask for to reset it for next Friday, the 17th, for a plea.
If you've got all the paperwork ready, we'll take it then.
Understood, Judge. Will do.
And then
The next one's on page number 8, 665832.
665-832. Thomas.
Yes, Judge. And on this one, we are missing discovery, the dash cam, the police report, and the DIC 24. So we'd ask for a reset for the state to be able to produce that.
I think since it's got discovery, dash cam, et cetera, let's do 60 days, February the 10th of February, Mr. Barrera. You got
Thank you,
it?
Judge. Yes,
You're
Judge, I got it. And may Ms. Blunt be excused for the day?
Yeah, are excused, yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Is Ms. Haas back?
Yes, Judge.
All right, let's do these two plays that are complete. It is,
Which two, Judge?
I'm sorry, 653-627, State versus Kyle Matthew Rickman. 661-880, State versus Francisco Lu. Francisco Lu is British. Right, Francisco?
It's actually Chinese, Your Honor.
The reason I'm teasing you is because I don't know if you're aware, you probably are, but the loo among the British is the restroom, the crapper.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Countless jokes.
All right. Mr. Levine, are you here?
I am present, Your Honor, and my client is also.
Mr. Barrera, are you ready on loop?
Yes, Judge.
Very good. Gentlemen, let me see. Mr. Liu, I see you. Mr. Rickland.
Good morning, Your Honor.
There you go. Gentlemen, would you raise your right hand? Do each of you solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Rickland.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Liu.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may put your hands down, gentlemen. It is my understanding, obviously, that you have come to an agreement on a plea. Before we do that, I'm going to make a record that is being taken by Ms. Kayleen Rivera, my court reporter. It's an official record. We're going to discuss the fact that y'all each individually in your own cases have constitutional rights and protections. You each have the right to remain silent. That means neither one of you and you individually cannot be compelled or required to make any kind of statement, answer questions, submit paperwork that has your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing, violations of the law. You have the right to a jury trial. That means that each of you individually and with your attorney can select 6 people, 6 citizens from a pool of disinterested citizens to hear the entire case, all the evidence, see the testimony and materials, and they, the 6, could decide whether you're not guilty or whether you have been proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. You also have the right individually to appeal. That means that you and your attorney or individually can demand that a higher court review the official record and evidence for whatever legal challenges you wanted to make. I would caution you that the right of appeal is a little bit difficult to perfect. You need to use the right paperwork, provide the right information, and you have time limitations. Be aware. That right of appeal, you're also going to give up if you do this plea. You also have the right, as does the state in each of your individual cases, to demand this hearing be done in the open public courtroom. Because of the COVID pandemic, we're not doing that. But in order to proceed, you have each reviewed and signed documents, in particular in this matter, a document that is a consent to video conference of this proceeding instead of the open public courtroom. Does each of you understand these rights that I have briefly mentioned to you? Mr. Liu,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ricklin.
Yes, Your Honor.
As part of this proceeding, you have each reviewed and signed documents. Those documents I will discuss with you briefly, but those documents you should have signed only after reviewing them and with your attorney and getting the advice and counsel of your attorney. Did you do that, Mr. Ricklin?
Yes, Your Honor, we did.
Mr. Liu?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. The documents include the consent to video conference. You've already accepted that. The documents include a very critical document. It's called Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. It is a document that has a lot of information. At one point, it's got 14 paragraphs or sections that are numbered, included in this document is an acknowledgement from each of you individually that you have had your different rights and protections presented to you and discussed with you. It also includes a section in there that tells you that the deal that you make with the state is not binding on me as the judge. As the judge, I have the authority and responsibility to review and say yes or no to your deal, to your plea bargain. You will be entering a plea to a specific violation of the law, and for that there is a punishment range. As the judge, I have the authority and responsibility to give you a punishment or provide a punishment to you, announce it, however you want to decide it. And I have the authority to give you any punishment in the range of punishment for your particular case, even if my punishment is heavier than what you agreed to. In the event that, and the document tells you this, in the event that I refuse to accept your deal, or if I give you a punishment that's heavier, greater than what you agreed to, in either case, you would have the right to start all over again. And nothing that you said or done would be used against you if you started all over. Are you gentlemen familiar with the document in your individual case? That is the defendant's waiver of constitutional rights and court's admonitions. Mr. Ricklin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Liu.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Another document of importance, well, they're all important, but another document that I'll point out to you is the one that says the trial court's certification of defendant's right of appeal. That one in there, I certified to you that the right of appeal you are giving up. You do not have a right of appeal if you persist in a plea bargain. Is that clear, Mr. Liu?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ricklin?
Yes, Your Honor.
You've also each applied for probation. State, are they each going to get deferred or not?
No, Your Honor. Mr. Liu will be getting adjudicated probation.
You'll get what?
Mr. Liu is getting straight probation.
Okay,
Mr. Ricklin is getting deferred.
all right. Gentlemen, each of you is applying for probation. Mr. Ricklin has a deal for deferred adjudication. Mr. Liu, you have an agreement for what we call straight probation. Probation, I remind you, and this is in your documents, probation is a written legal binding agreement between you and the state. Pardon me, you and this court. That agreement essentially includes the fact that on Mr. Liu, your regular probation, you and Mr. Ricklin in your deferred adjudication, you're each going to have specific and clear conditions that you're going to have to live up to and complete. You will be required to live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision in each of your cases. Mr. Liu, yours will be probation of a 180-day jail sentence, probated, suspended for 16 months. If you violate the conditions, that is, you fail or refuse to live up to 100%, the state may ask me to give you notice, bring you in for a hearing, and if the evidence substantiates it, then I will send you to jail. Mr. Ricklin, in your case, you'll be pleading to a deferred adjudication probation. The basics are the same as the other. However, in your case, you're going to enter a plea of guilty, but I will not find you guilty. And if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the case will be dismissed and you're not found guilty of the obstruction to which you're going to plead. If you fail or refuse to live up to the 100%, and I mean that to both you, 100% compliance, then in your case, we'll give you notice, bring you in, have a hearing, and if I believe it is legally appropriate, I will enter a finding of guilt, provide a conviction that follows you the rest of your life, and then you're looking at 100% of the sentence range, which is a fine anywhere from $0 to $2,000, in jail from 0 days to 180 days. Is that clear, Mr. Ricklin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Liu?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, Mr. Ricklin, state has a motion. Correct me if I'm wrong, state. State has a motion to amend the complaint to include count 2, obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway. And the state then will waive and abandon count 1 and proceed on count 2, obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway.
That's correct,
Is
Judge.
that the motion, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and defense, do you have any objection?
We have no objection, Your Honor.
And do you waive the 10-day notice of requirement of 10-day notice on amendment?
Yes, we do.
All right. Now, Mr. Ricklin, you're no longer charged with DWI with a blood alcohol content of 0.15 or higher. You're now charged with obstruction of a passageway. To that charge, Mr. Ricklin, how do you plead? It's my understanding you're pleading guilty. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
All right. Now, I find from your plea and the evidence that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but there is an agreement that I will honor. I will grant you 14 months deferred adjudication. As part of the conditions, you will not make an application for early termination of the probation of the deferred. At this point, before I continue with the sentence, how do you have children?
Yes, Your Honor, I actually have a 4.5-month-old.
So you have one child.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how do you make a living? And more importantly, what is the total of your income from whatever source?
So I'm an outside sales rep for a security and surveillance company here in town, Hawk Security. It is a commission-based job. So my average annual income is about $55,000.
5,000?
55, correct. Average.
Okay. Now, does your child have any special needs or medical problems?
No, sir, not that we know of.
All right. Then the state, you and the state have suggested or recommended a $600 fine. I will not accept that. It'll be $850. You will perform 45 hours of community service restitution. You'll complete a DWI education program, a TAP evaluation, and the recommendations that will be subject to my approval. You will have 7 months continuous ignition interlock on your vehicle. During those 7 months, you're not to drive any vehicle other than your own equipped with ignition interlock. You are, during the entirety of the 14 months, you're not to have any alcohol whatsoever. and certainly not any illegal drugs. Now, your supervisory fee will be $60 a month. I have given you a sentence that is slightly higher than what you have agreed to, which means under law, you could refuse to accept this and start all over. What is your choice?
I believe that's going to be fine, Your Honor. My understanding is the only difference is the amount of the fine. I didn't miss anything.
That's correct. I've increased it to $250. There's a lot of people that don't hardly make half of what he's making and they have to pay a $500 or $600 fine. I don't agree with that in this case. And I will remind you, Mr. Rickland, are you going to accept this?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let me just quickly remind you, sir. The worst thing that can happen in your life is that you go out and drink and drive and kill your own child because you messed up. Second worst thing is you go out and drink and drive and kill an innocent person. If you drink and drive and kill somebody, you're looking at 20 years in prison. How old are you, Mr. Rickland?
I am 38 years old, sir,
All right.
Your Honor.
Think about it. You're right now in the prime of life, 38 years old. You'd spend till you're 58 years old in prison. That is not something that I would hope that you would go through. I expect that you don't either. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any questions? Oh, both of you, by the way, you and Mr. Liu will be required to come to the offices of County Court of Law number 5, have your thumbprint placed on legal documents as is required by law. Also, you will meet, as soon as we're through here, you will meet with Ms. Maricela Luna. Is she here today, Patty? Yes. You will meet with Maricela Luna. She will get you started on the probation program. Incidentally, the conditions of probation will be read to you by probation department. You will sign them and they will put a copy in your hands. Any questions, Mr. Rickland?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions, Mr. Levine?
No, Your Honor, we're good.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Liu. It
Yes,
is
Your
my
Honor.
understanding that the state is making a motion to waive and abandon the DWI second enhancement and instead proceed with DWI first, which is a lowering of the punishment level. Is there any objection on that motion from Mr. Barrera?
No, Your Honor, no objections.
All right. State, that is correct. You are making that motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it's the state will waive and abandon the DWI second and proceed on DWI first. To that charge, sir, how do you plead? Mr. Liu,
No contest, Your Honor.
a no contest plea in this court is considered a guilty plea and is sufficient for me to convict you right here and now. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, this applies to both of you. You and Mr. Rickland did on your plea, and Mr. Rickland pled guilty, and your case no contest, which is the same thing in this court. Did either one of you, was either one of you threatened, intimidated, or promised anything other than the plea bargain in exchange for your plea, respective plea? Mr. Liu.
No, Your Honor.
All right. I accept your plea of no contest. Based on your plea and the evidence, I find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. I find you guilty. The sentence, as I understand it at this point, is your agreement is to 180 days, Bexar County Jail, suspended for 16 months. You will not make an application for early termination of the probation. And before I continue, tell me, do you have children, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. Got
How
one.
many? One child. How old
Just
is
one.
the child?
She's 21, Your Honor.
21? Okay, so that means she is not a dependent. At least not legally. Is there any reason why she would be?
She still lives at the house because she's going to UTSA, Your Honor.
Yeah, but she's not disabled or something that requires special care and expense.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank God. All right. And your total income from all sources?
It's approximately $52,000, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. In this case, you've got a $700 fine recommended. I don't accept that. We're gonna make that $950 by my choice. You will perform 60 hours of community service restitution. You'll you will make a one-time $50 donation to Crime Stoppers. You'll complete the DWI intervention program, the Victim Impact Panel Live. You'll submit to a TAP evaluation, and the recommendations will be subject to my approval. You will have 8 months continuous monitoring on your vehicle by Ignition Interlock. Your supervisory fee will also be $60 a month. I have given you a punishment that is slightly greater than what your agreement was with the state. You have the right to reject it and start all over again. What is your choice, sir?
We accept it, Your Honor.
All right. Again, you heard what I had to say about the dangers of drinking and driving. In your case in particular, I'm more concerned because this is your second time around. Be aware that if you get arrested the third time, sir, you're going to be looking at state prison, not a local jail thing like you got right now. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And worse than that, you're also going to be looking at a approximately $5,000 separate fine that the state is going to impose on you because you're not poor. If you were, it might be waived, but I expect, and you will find out, that they're going to come after you and impose that separate fine on you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Liu?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then you've heard what I have to say on your the worries. You need to be extra careful. You're on the brink as it is. For your sake and your family's sake, I hope that doesn't happen. What happens to your family, your wife and daughter, if you wind up in prison? Everything will go to hell in a handbasket, and you know that. So keep that in mind as far as drinking. If there's a problem, Mr. Liu, we have all kinds of resources and abilities to help you, but you got to ask. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you.
Judge,
Yes.
as part of the agreement, I forgot to mention to you that they had agreed for him to attend 2 Alcoholic Anonymous meetings per week.
Okay. Obviously, I didn't hear it, and that's my mistake. There's 60 hours of community service restitution. In case I didn't recite that, you will be required to attend the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings as has been agreed to already. Further questions?
Judge, from his counselor, there's a couple things. He has completed the DWI intervention program, the DWI Victim Impact Panel Live. Can he be given credit upon providing proof of completion?
Absolutely. I congratulate you that you've already done some of this. Obviously, your attorneys have guided you correctly. Be careful, sir.
And Judge, one last thing is he's given a $500 donation to the Gabriel Project. So we'd ask the court if he could be given credit for that in lieu of the community service hours.
The $500 donation, what I'll do is authorize that the 60 hours community service restitution, he may donate in lieu of those hours, but it will be at $12 an hour. I personally appreciate that he's made the donation, especially to the Gabriel project. But that means he owes, I think, $220 more. At $12 an hour times 60 is $720. So with that understanding, I authorize him to donate in lieu of the CSR work, but he owes $220 more.
Understood, Judge.
Is that understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Liu.
Your Honor, on Mr. Rickland, not being from Bear County, I have a couple of questions. First, is it possible for him to also be able to donate in lieu of the community service restitution?
I do authorize that in the case of Mr. Rickland at the same $12 an hour donation. I personally recommend that the donation in lieu of CSR hours, that is community service restitution hours, be made to what's called the Gabriel Project. The probation office can help him. However, I do not require that. It is my preference. He can opt or choose to make the donation to San Antonio Food Bank instead. But I do authorize him to do so.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And one other question, when this is completed, will he be sent to a breakout room with probation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That'll be with Ms. Maricela Luna. She's here waiting. She'll talk to the both of them and get it going.
Okay, great. Thank you, Your Honor.
Gentlemen, thank you, Mr. Rickland, Mr. Liu. I wish you the best. Right now is the worst time of the year for people that drink. This is the time that everybody wants to offer you something to drink because it's the holiday season. Stay the hell away from alcohol, okay? Gentlemen, God bless you, you and your families. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Have excused,
Thank
Your
you,
Honor.
Your Honor.
Thank you,
Yes,
Your
sir.
Honor. You as well.
Patty, can you put me in a breakout room, please?